Alright, hello folks, and welcome. How you doing? DSP here. On today's gameplay stream, it is going to be the end game of Forza Horizon 3, a game that I picked up a week ago exactly today, that I've been having a lot of fun with. It's been something different, something refreshing, something, fun for me because it's racing, which I don't usually do. And I think it's been a good way to get this week past, because let's face it, I think, honestly, what everyone's waiting for is the new releases. And the big news this morning, ladies and gentlemen, is the PlayStation VR is releasing in about a week's time. It's next week, actually, that it's coming out, okay? And the big news is that all the media outlets are reviewing it. A lot of positivity, some negativity. And I'll talk more about that as we get closer to it. I will be covering the PSVR in full, all right? But the thing is, I'm not even exaggerating here when I say this. There's about 30-some titles that will release along with the PlayStation VR next week. Now, when I say titles, I call it purposely titles instead of games, because a lot of these things that are releasing for it are not full games. A lot of these things are experiences, meaning they're probably only a couple hours long, if that. They're very short, kind of almost tech demos for what the PSVR can do. Some of those including things like Batman. There's a Batman one. There's going to be an Until Dawn on-rail shooter. There's going to be a bunch of puzzle games. There's going to be action games. There's going to be, sports, archery, everything you could think of. Every gimmick that they do whenever one of these new peripherals releases. Remember when PS Move came out and they did all the same shit? It's going to be exactly the same. It really is. It's going to be exactly the same. So really, what we're finding out here, with all this information, I'm going to have to pick and choose which ones to play, because there's so many, there's no way I'm going to be able to cover them all. Even if they're only 2 hours long, if there's 30 of them, how am I going to cover 60 hours of PSVR in a week? It's just not possible. So I'm going to have to pick and choose the ones that I think are more interesting, and go from there. So anyway, the reason I'm bringing this up is because we've all been eagerly awaiting this string of new releases, right? And I think Forza was a good way for me to get this week kind of moving and keep me occupied, because now the new releases are hitting, starting this Friday. Mafia 3, Tuesday, Gears of War 4, and WWE 2K17. Later that week, the PlayStation VR. The week after is Battlefield 1. By the way, also, I am aware that Duke Nukem is coming out. There's Duke Nukem 3D remaster, remake game that brings it into the modern era. And I am considering playing that after I'm done with the PlayStation VR, if there's time before Battlefield 1 comes out. Okay? And also, then, like I said, Battlefield 1, Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. And then that last week of October, I'm debating what I'm going to play, because obviously the Dark Souls 3 DLC comes out, and I'm going to be doing that. But then you got Titanfall 2, which I might or might not do. And we'll see. We'll have to play it by ear and see by the end of the month how much crazy shit have I been covering and what's left that I haven't done. So, holy crap. We've got a lot of stuff for the rest of this month, all starting this Friday. It's going to be full speed ahead starting Friday. So these next couple of days, honestly, today and tomorrow, are more relaxed days, if anything else, okay? So what I'm planning on doing is today, I'm going to try to wrap up Forza Horizon 3. This live stream, excuse me, because I had a bowl of cereal before we started here. As you can hear, it's digesting. This stream will be about 3 to 3.5 hours of Forza gameplay. Alright? And if I don't finish it, I'm probably going to play it more tonight. I'm not going to stream later tonight, but I will record it. My goal is to try to finish this. I would really like to try to finish this. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I really would like to try to finish Forza Horizon 3 today. Originally, I was going to review it, but being that apparently I'm not even at the end yet, I don't think I can review it, so I think I'm just going to try to get through as far as I can. Tomorrow will be the conclusion of Dead Rising Remastered New Game Plus Run. I'm at the end game of it. So all I'm going to be doing tomorrow is I'm going to be doing achievement hunting. I'm going to be trying to find some of the funny trophies and achievements that I can do in the game. And that's pretty much going to be the content of the stream until kind of time runs out and you get the ending of the game. So, tomorrow should be fun. And then, of course, it all starts Friday. The Mafia 3 Marathon this weekend. 2 sessions Friday, 2 sessions Saturday, a session on Sunday, and a possible 2 sessions Monday unless I finish it and I review it. So it's going to be wild, ladies and gentlemen. Pretty crazy. All right, what else? Jeez, there's just so much going on. Ugh. I don't want to go too long on the pre-stream here today because I do want to jump back into Forza and try to get as far as I can. Oh, all right, let's put it this way. I'm not going to go crazy with gratuitous plugs or anything, ladies and gentlemen. All right, I'm not. I'm just going to say 2 quick things about Patreon and then we'll get started. First off, FYI, if you were a September patron of mine and you pledged and you need to get a perk, like for example, you need to get your forum account upgraded so you can start nominating horror games for the marathon on Halloween, no worries. I got all your messages. I've collected them together, and I'm going to be sending them to my webmaster tonight. So that should go to the webmaster Onyx tonight, and he should be able to upgrade you over the next couple of days, and then you'll have over a week to nominate horror games for this upcoming horror marathon. All right. Number 2. Ladies and gentlemen, since I've realized that there's going to be a lot of people probably tuning in recently or coming up with all these new releases who normally don't, all right, I wanted to get my stuff together, and I did. Last night, I took some time. I have set up the October Patreon goal, all right, the October Patreon goal. I'll show you what it is right now. I hope you're all ready, all right. It's going to be a dance-a-thon. No, it's not. Yes, I'm going to play all dancing games, and I'm going to hurt my back, and then you won't see me for weeks. No, I'm not going to be doing that. The October Patreon goal is the return of one that I've done in the past that was very, very successful. I've done it multiple times, and people liked it every time, but I haven't done it for a long time now, so I figured now is the time to bring it back. It is the Indie Games Marathon, ladies and gentlemen. Indie Games. I have not played an indie marathon since the beginning of this year. It was actually one of the very first Patreon goals for 2016 was that I did an indies marathon, and it's been a long time since I did one, all right? So, if we hit my Patreon funding goal for this month, which is the same as it is every month, I never changed it or anything, and if you pledge $5 or more by the end of the month, midnight on October 31st, you will be able to nominate and then vote on what indie games I'll be playing in a 6 to 7 hour long marathon at the end of November. I'll try to schedule it in there. Probably during that week that I'll be playing Final Fantasy 15 nonstop, I'll probably squeeze it in there one of those days as a break, okay? Now, the thing that about these indie marathons is because they're a lot of fun, and what ends up happening is I end up getting exposed to games that either I missed out on or I just didn't have a chance to play, and I get these cool experiences to find out if these are games that I want to continue on, all right? So, FYI, some of the games that I played in the past in these indie marathons that I absolutely loved were games like Hotline Miami, Papers, Please. Last year we had To the Moon, and that's just a few. There's probably about a million freaking games I've played in these indie marathons, all right? And some of them have actually turned into later on into full playthroughs. So I actually put some suggestions here of a couple of games on my screen here that you can see that were released this year, considered indie games, that I did not play because I was too busy. One of them was called Anzu. I guess it's from the same people who made Journey. It's supposed to be a game where you're swimming underwater like a scuba diver. One of the most beautiful games ever made that I didn't play and no one talked about. And to the right there, you've got Darkest Dungeon. Darkest Dungeon is a game that a lot of people wanted me to play earlier this year. And simply put, I just didn't have time for it. Well, now it has just recently released for the PlayStation 4, making it even easier and more accessible for me to play. So, yeah, that's kind of the deal. I mean, those are some examples. Those aren't necessarily games I'm 100% playing, but those are games that I consider playing. It's all up to the patrons. Whoever pledges $5 or more, if we hit the funding goal, they'll be nominating and voting. And these are just 2 examples of games that you could nominate and vote on. I'm sure there's tons more indie games that have been released this year that people would be interested in seeing. This is just a few examples. And as I said, if I play these games during an indies marathon for, a couple hours each, and I end up enjoying them, what's to say that I won't go ahead and play them as full playthroughs at a future date, you know what I mean? So it's great. it's great, and it's certainly going to be a fun thing. I hope we hit the goal. I'm going to be talking about this all month, so get your ears ready. I'll be mentioning this ridiculous amounts of times this month, every single day, because I really would like to hit the funding goal and have this for November. And by the way, I already know what I'm doing for December, but I'm not going to spoil yet. You know, I already know what the final kind of event for the year is going to be, but I'm not going to spoil it. We'll talk about that next next month, okay? All right, so anyway, outside of all this, the only other thing, as I could say, obviously, you know, my girlfriend Leanna has her own soap business, and you can check that out at, Etsy.com /shop/the Black Current. I won't even go into detail about that today, but I don't know how many of you, I actually want to get a little bit of polling here. Not really polling, but feedback from the stream chat. How many of you actually watched me play the Outlast 2 demo last night, and what did you think of it? Yeah, if you saw me play the Outlast 2 demo last night, what is your opinion of it? Because I was intrigued, and I'm going to be honest with everyone. Right off the bat, I liked it, I think, better than the first game. And I know that's hard to say from a 20-minute demo. But the reason I think that it's going to be better than the first game is because the first game, you were stuck inside of this asylum for the entire game, right? You were, in the entirety of the game, you were stuck inside of the asylum. And yeah, there were parts where you went outside of the asylum and you wandered around and you're trying to find other ways to sneak around and stuff. But it was pretty much a one-trick pony. There's going to be these crazy assholes from the asylum trying to kill you, right? The Outlast 2 looks like it's going to be some crazy amount of variety, because not only are you on this kind of hick town in the middle of nowhere, right? And of course, they're all crazy-ass hicks trying to kill you or whatever. But then there's also these scenes where you're inside of like modernized places. Like there's a scene where you're inside of a school. And that looked awesome. It looked like for variety's sake, that could be really fun to be going between different locations and stuff. So I like that. And I think that could lend itself to some variety, which Outlast 1 didn't have it. You know what I mean? Outlast 1 was a lot of the same until the very end. The very end of Outlast 1 had the revelation of what the game was about, and that was a little bit different. But if this game has you going between different kinds of locations and stuff, I think that could be a really great game. The only thing that sucks, it's not out this year. I know, and that's disappointing to a lot of people, I know, because we haven't had any good survival horror in so long, man. We just haven't. There hasn't been any good survival horror in a long-ass time, and I'm looking for a good survival horror. I think the next good survival horror game that's a new one that might come out might be Resident Evil 7 in January, right? So, we're going to have a wait here till we finally get one. Alright, so anyway, if you haven't watched it yet, it's about 25 minutes long, my run through the demo, because I talk a little bit at the beginning and at the end of what I thought about it. Give it a look. Pretty fun. And I'm looking forward to that game next year for sure. Okay? Alright, that's pretty much it. We're going to get started right now with Forza. Don't want to delay it any further. Just want to get into it. So, thank you for being patient, those of you that are here. And, Forza action for you. See how far we can get and go from there. Alright. Thanks, everybody. Here we go.